Welcome. It is a good day. It is a good day. I'm up. That means I get to see another day, and you're up. That means you get to see another day. Now, I am in Kentucky. All right. So I just got here in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and it wasn't part of the plan, but I was in Nashville, so I wanted to come to Kentucky. I thought I might as well come here because it's so close. It was only about an hour drive from Nashville to Bowling Green, Kentucky, okay? Now, I was trying to figure out what I can do here in Kentucky, so a quick Google search told me that I could do this cave tour. What's it called? The Lost River Cave, right? So that is what I'm doing today. I don't know what it's going to be like because it is raining. It's always raining. But either way, we're gonna get into it. So let's get into it. The price for this, if you do want to do this, if you come down here to Bowling Green, Kentucky, the price for this boat tour was $23 $23 a person. All right. So they told me I should go this way, and the tour guide is going to meet us there. They said we're supposed to leave. Departure's at 1. It is now 12:50, so I got about 10 minutes to get there. So yeah, so it's a cave tour, a boat tour inside a cave or something. But let's see how it is. Boat tour, nature trails, butterfly habitat, Greenway Trail. All right, so we need to go this way.
Are you going to walk or on
the boat?
Okay.
Okay, so boat tours, nature trails. All right, she said there would be, I cross over this bridge, and there's another bridge, I think. Oh man, this is nice. This is very nice. Boat tour starts here, okay. This is it. Oh, look at that. What is that? Oh, a zip line. Okay, so that must be like a zip line up there. Yeah, it looks like a zip. No, it's not a zip line. What is that? Maybe it is. Yeah, it is a zip line. Yeah. It's got to be like a zip line or something. So yeah, like I was saying, if you plan on doing this, this is Bowling Green, Kentucky. If you plan on doing this, it was $23 a person. I flew to Nashville. I landed in Nashville, and from Nashville I got a car, and then I drove to here, Bowling Green, Kentucky. Like I said, it was a quick drive. It was about an hour. The weather's not so good, but it gives me a good way to check off Kentucky off the list of my 50 states tour. So yeah. And like I said, I had to find something to do. I didn't just want to come here and just walk around like I usually do. So I try to find something to do. And when I looked it up online, this was one of the things that came up to do here in Bowling Green. So I'm here. Let's wait for this boat, all right? I'll check with you in a minute.
Let's make sure we have everybody. Awesome. Where are you all from? Where are you all from?
Connecticut.
Connecticut. Nice. Welcome. And what about you all? Orlando, Florida. Orlando, Florida. Where are you all from?
Georgia.
Georgia. Nice. Welcome. And what about you all? All right. Well, I think that's everybody. Missing 3. 2 of them will join us. I already talked to them. Well, my name is Cole. I'll be your tour guide today. A little bit about me. I'm from right here in Kentucky. I grew up a little east of here. I go to school down the road at Western Kentucky University, where I major in parks, recreation, and tourism. So that's kind of why I'm here. Yeah. On our tour today, we're going to talk about some cars. Yeah, we used to have zip lines. We got rid of them recently. Alright, so our first stop on our tour today, we're going to check out this right here. This is what we call a blue hole. Gets that name because it's a hole full of water that's blue, of course. As somebody already mentioned, it is a spring. It's where the water, underground river, springs up, flows down into our cave. We have 4 blue holes here on our property. Not all of them have this stream that you see right here. The reason it's blue is because of a mineral called calcite that's found in limestone. So if you look across right there on the bank, that's limestone, up there is limestone. What happens is as the water is going through our bedrock here, which is limestone, it's picking up a mineral called calcite. And that calcite floats up in the water. It's really reflective. So it actually reflects the green trees and the blue sky, giving it this nice teal color. Now, it's probably going to be green or blue tomorrow with all the rain coming. It'll probably be a murky brown color. Or murky green. With all the sediment that gets washed up in it. Now, as you're over there taking a look at it, try to guess how deep it is, and we'll talk a little bit about that.
What's hero you got?
What's that? This one?
What's your, yeah.
It's a GoPro. It's
3
11.
feet?
Okay.
Yeah.
We just got into the world.
Yeah, in the middle.
Yeah.
Forgot to bring it with us.
Okay.
Go ahead, take a look.
7.
Anybody else guessing?
What?
Any guesses on how deep it is?
Oh,
Deepest
wow.
part.
Deep.
300 feet, okay.
50.
I'm going to
50?
say
Yep.
100.
That's why I say 50 to 100. All right.
Probably something crazy like 500 feet or something.
Right. So I'm going to take you all the way back to the American Civil War. At the beginning of the war, the Confederacy, they had a whole operation here in Bowling Green. They had a fort over where Western's campus is today, and here in this valley they had a hospital and some medical camp tents. This is what they called Camp Recovery, so it was the medical camp. They weren't here for very long. In 1862, about 40,000 Union troops started their march down from Elizabethtown, Kentucky to push out the Confederacy. Now, the Confederacy did not have the numbers to fight that, so they decided that instead of staying here and fighting the Union, they were going to leave town before the Union got here. But before they could do that, they wanted to burn everything down, blow up all the bridges, burn all the crops and all that good stuff, pollute the water. That way when the Union got here, there wouldn't be much for them, right? So the Union got to Bowling Green. They had to build what's called a pontoon bridge to get across the Barren River, so they tied rafts to each other and walked across. They got into the city. They were looking for a place to set up camp. There wasn't really anywhere that looked really good. All the water was polluted. Everything was burned down. Then they stumbled upon this valley right here, this stream, and they noticed that this was the only stream that had not been polluted, and so they set up camp right here in this valley and the surrounding area. So about 40,000 Union troops were stationed here from 1862 until the end of the war. Now, while they were here, they kept pretty extensive journals. They would talk about a lot of stuff they did down here. We'll talk a little bit more about it inside the cave. But one of the things they talked about was going swimming in this stream right here, and some of them even talked about diving into the Blue Hole. The Blue Hole became known as a place where you could dive in and never come back up to the surface. So they started calling it the man-eating bottomless pit. There was one story floating around camp that was really popular about 3 soldiers that came down here. One of them dove in, he didn't come back up, so another one dove in after him, he didn't come back up, and the third one left and told everybody else. So after the war, A newspaper published an article about this blue hole here and how so many Union soldiers had disappeared, and somebody read it and decided he wanted to measure the depth. So he used a technique called sounding, where he tied a rope to a rock and he threw the rock in, waited for it to sink to the bottom, measured how far the rope had gone. When he did that, he measured it to be 437 feet deep. Pretty crazy, right?
That's attached to an underground river.
Yeah, so this tree right here is 110 feet tall, so imagine 4 of those stacked on top of each other. That's how deep they believed it to be. Now, around that time, tourism started to pick up. There was a cave tour down here you could take. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. And you could rent out a cabin up top, and they would also boast having the world's shortest, deepest river, because the river is actually deeper than it is long, if it's 437 feet, right? We were in Ripley's, believe it or not, in the Guinness Book of World Records for some time, until the 1980s. 2 professors from Western Kentucky University bought the property, decided they wanted to do some more measurements, so they got a grad student, put him in a boat with a long metal rod and told him to touch the bottom. And when he did that, he measured it to be 17 feet deep at its deepest point. So pretty far from 437. So they decided to do some more investigation, figure out why we got that measurement to begin with. And they found out what they already knew, which this is a spring. It's where the underground river springs up. But the way it springs up is what makes it so unique. So the bedrock there has a lot of small cracks and holes in it, and that river is getting pushed up. So if you imagine a water gun, you got that big tank of water, you push through a small hole, water comes out far really fast, right, with all that pressure. Same thing's happening here. That river's getting pushed up to the bedrock, creates a lot of pressure there. Water's trying to find a way to get out, goes through those small cracks and holes, and pushes out at a current of about 100 or about 90 to 120 gallons per second. It's a really fast current, right? When it rains a lot, the middle of the blue hole will actually start to gurgle, kind of a little geyser action. So if you were to throw a rock in there, the rock would sink to the bottom, but the rope would get stuck and caught in that current, twisted and pulled and knotted until it would stop at 437 feet. That's how they got that measurement. So pretty crazy. Now, as for the soldiers disappearing, best guess is that this was a great way to desert the war. Just tell all your friends you're going for a swim, pack up and go home, and they'll just think you're another victim of the man-eating bottomless pit, right? Yeah, that is the blue hole. Anybody have any questions? No? Awesome. Well, everybody paid to see a cave. Go ahead down here and check it out. But first, I want to tell you that this actually used to be the cave. So if you look on both sides of us now, we're in a valley. You see cliffs on each side. Those used to be cave walls, and right above us would have been a cave roof. Now that cave started to cave in right here, creating this valley that leads all the way up to our cave mouth. That's what we call a karst valley. And it's one of the longest in the world. It stretches about a mile from our cave mouth to a mile that way. So pretty cool. If you all want to follow me, I'll take you later.
Well, that is the mystery of the blue hole. I hope you got all that information. And it really is blue. I don't know if you can see it from the camera, but it really is a blue hole, and it looks deep. But apparently it's not that deep. It's only about 17 feet. All right, we're going inside the cave, y'all. Here is the cave.
Mississippi River in the United States is about 157 feet wide. The reason it's so big is because of that collapse I mentioned earlier, that cave collapsed in and then stopped collapsing in the middle of the big room in the cave. So that's why we have such a big cave mouth. If you've been to other caves, you would know that the cave mouth is usually very small. Sometimes you even have to crawl through it to get into what's big, right? You might see a lot going on here. That's because we have a lot of human history at our cave. We've actually found evidence of humans being in our cave as far back as about 10 to 11,000 years ago. A group of people we would refer to as Paleo-Native Americans would have been here. They would have been nomadic peoples. They would have only been here to seek shelter and water and food as they were following herds of big game animals such as bison, woolly mammoths, sloths, and stuff like that itself. There was one problem with it though, and that is that the rods would hit the rocks there and spark, and that mill up there happened to be a bourbon distillery. So it burned down 3 separate times. After that, these 2 brothers from downtown Bowling Green traded their house and their horse for the deed to this property. They opened up the walnut factory that I pointed out over there. They'd come down here, they'd pick walnuts, take it up there, cook them, and then they would take the shells and they would make mattresses and pillows out of it. Doesn't sound very comfortable, but that's what they did back then. They got to thinking, because just north of us here was the Kentucky Cave Wars in the Mammoth Cave National Park area. All these farmers were having it out, trying to steal each other's tourists. They thought they could get in on that, so they decided they were going to open up cave tours here in the farm of the Watch Figure Museum of Jesse James and his bandits. Hiding in jail cells. They would tell a pretty outrageous story about how Jesse James got out here. There was everything down here, from trash bags to bathtubs, refrigerators, cars, tires, you name it, it was down here. It took them 9 years to get all that out, and in 1999 they opened up our cave here for our first cave tours, and that's what we've been doing ever since. And so I do want to re-mention that we are a nonprofit. What we do here is we give these cave tours to educate people about the karst landscape and history of this area. We have restored the Cavern nightclub. Today it is a historical monument, and it is also our wedding and special events venue. And we also work with city government to preserve the park back here as a park for people to come and enjoy. We've pushed back on a lot of urban sprawl, supermarkets, neighborhoods, all that good stuff, trying to keep it a park for people to enjoy. So again, we are a nonprofit. None of our funds come from the state or federal government, but from you guys buying tickets and being here today. So I do want to thank you all for coming and taking part in this. So thanks. Give yourselves a round of applause for coming. Oh no, yeah. Awesome. Are you all ready to get in the cave?
Yes.
Awesome. Some quick boat safety. When we're on the boat, please stay seated at all times. Don't stand up. Don't touch anything. If you are under the age of 12 or 13, you have to wear one of these life jackets over here. So 12 and under. If you fall out today, which you will not unless you break the rules I told you not to break, you will have a flotation device on the boat. It is a blue square with 2 straps. When I throw it to you, you're going to hold it to your chest. You will not strap it to your back. If you strap it to your back, you'll float like this, and we call that natural selection. So you're going to hold it to your chest, and you're going to stand up. Water is only about 3 to 4 feet deep. All right? And we'll get you back in the boat. We do allow photography and flash photography. Just be cautious of other people. Don't blind them. And also, please no smoking or vaping in our cave. All right? Any questions? Awesome. Follow me.
All right.
You need a life jacket?
I'm not.
Oh, there's a boat. 43. Alright guys, I was worried there for a bit because you know I can't swim, right? So I gotta stop taking these boats, man.
He asked why there's no fish. There's a few different reasons.
Fish don't usually get in the cave water.
Yeah.
They're usually a little further downstream where it's warm.
pH level.
Yeah, very tight too.
Alright. You'll want to follow me down here. We'll get on the boat.
Alright. We are.
Alright, watch out
It's
for
a
this
real
rock
cave.
right here.
It's a real cave. Will you look at that?
You need this one. How many people you got? You and your dad? Alright. So let's get you two down this way. And then let's get you and your dad down this way. Sit about 3 squares from the end for me. That way we're not weighing down the front of the boat too much. Then you two.
Gotta wait for him.
Alright, you two go in behind me. Okay, you're down this way. All in. You two behind me.
No, you need to I got sound on this.
Eva, whatever weight you put on this side, I make up.
That would be where we put.
Yeah, put
Okay.
Here, I gotta check.
Yeah, moisture's really holding in.
Alright, so first things first, if you look right here, you'll see what we call the wishing rock. It's not grant wishes, but if you don't look forward as we go underneath it, you're gonna wish that you did. We've got plenty of space, so if you need to get the floor, lay down, whatever you gotta do, we're gonna head on inside. All ready?
Yeah, I'm gonna get that, I think.
Sit right your head.
No, but I'm still just making sure.
It makes people wish they put them down if they did.
The phone.
That's cool.
I know. Look at that.
There you go.
We gotta build. We will rock you tonight.
Very cool.
Are we going to make it so fast?
Maybe.
Hey, there we go.
That's like caves.
Yeah, back in there. We get the study thing. It's like,
All right, welcome inside Lost River Cave, everybody. We are floating about 70 feet beneath the ground right now. Keep your hands down, please.
yeah.
We're floating about 70 feet beneath the ground right now. As we go deeper into the cave, we're going to get as deep as about 110 feet beneath the ground.
Our oils for my hands are not.
All right, first thing I'm going to show you all is if you look right here, you'll see what we call a flow stone. Anybody want to guess why we call that a flow stone?
I wonder.
It's because the water is flowing over it. So that water right there, it's coming down from the surface. As it rains, the water soaks into the ground, and it gets to our bedrock, right? And water is always going to look for the path of least resistance. So it finds what we call natural pipes. And it's pretty much just cracks and holes in the rock that's been carved over time by water. As the water goes through those cracks, it's going to pick up a lot of calcite. Now, as it picks up all that calcite, it's going to start flowing over this rock right here. It's going to be saturated with calcite so much that it's going to start depositing it back onto the rock, and that calcite's going to cling onto each other and build up over time, create this formation that you see right here. Now, as you're looking at it, like I said, it's all calcite, but you might notice a few different colors on it. Like right up here, you might notice this green color, and that right there is what we call lambent flora. Now, in caves like this, where people are coming to visit, we keep the lights on. The artificial light mixed with the damp environment creates a great place for some obscure plant life to grow. So if you look right up here on right next to our light, you'll see a clover growing out of the ceiling. That doesn't do any harm to the cave's ecosystem, actually gives some extra food to the cave crickets and beetles and stuff like that. But that is that lambent flora I was just talking about. So as we go through the cave, if you see anything that looks green, like grass or clover or anything like that, moss, that is that lambent flora. Now also, if you look right here, you can see this creamy peanut butter color. That's what we like to see. That is our natural calcite. That's raw calcite right there. And then right down the middle, you see this streak of murky blackish gray stuff. And that is what we call a pollution scar. That pollution scar is not from the landfill that used to be here, but actually from the time before that, there was a cattle farm right above our cave. Now cows, they like to eat, move, and chew. They also poo quite a bit. So the rain would come, mix with that poo, and soak down to the soil, hit the bedrock, go into those natural pipes, over that flow stone, create feet high. I'm messing with you. Takes millions of years for it to break down. If you look at the ceiling we have right now, you can tell it's just a big slab of rock. It's actually the strongest ceiling we've ever had. So there's two reasons why it's so strong. So if you look over here on the edges, you can see how each layer of the breakdown is very, each layer got closer and closer to the middle of the ceiling. That kind of acts like a large or dome, and it creates some extra support for our parent ceiling. Now the other reason is because of the type of material that's in our limestone. Get us working really good real fast. So I'm going to take my flashlight, I'm going to walk down the middle here and have you all look up at the ceiling. As you look up, you might notice a shimmer.
Yeah.
You see what I'm talking about? Now that shimmer is actually iron that's in our cave. Now, usually in places like this, iron mixing with moisture and oxygen is going to make the iron rust, right? But there's actually a bacteria in our cave that likes to eat rust. And so it's actually polishing our iron for us. So, this rock here has a lot of iron. You can see it through that shimmer, but if you look over here on the edges, these top few layers have some iron. But as you get lower, it has a little bit more of a red color. And that is because these lower layers here have a lot of clay in it. stronger than clay. And so that's another reason why those lower layers were so much more weaker and why they collapsed so much sooner. Now this room is really interesting. If you're in here as much as I am, you start to notice things, such as this huge oval up on the ceiling. All right, and I also mentioned these breakdowns. If you look over here on this side, you just see cave wall. And over here on this side, you see all that breakdown. You see all that rock, all that loose sediment piled up, right? And so a lot of people wonder, how did it all get there? Why is it not everywhere? Why is it not evenly distributed, right? Well, the answer to that question is water. So our cave here floods pretty often. We actually have to close our tours a collective 6 weeks out of the year because the water's too high. Like I mentioned outside, we're the lowest point in 50 square miles, so all that rain comes right here, right? But less often than that, we actually get a flooding event that's big enough, it'll reach the ceiling of our cave. We actually call those the 100-year floods. On average, it only happens once every 100 years. When that happens, there's a really heavy current in the water, and this cave in particular actually acts like a drain, or this room in particular acts like a drain. The water will drain out of this room into the next room. Just like at home, when you fill up your bathtub and you pull the plug, what does the water do as it goes down the drain? It swirls, right? Yeah, so that water is going to swirl really, really fast. It's going to be so fast, it'll carve out that big oval up there on the ceiling. Here has been in a cave before. Yeah, what type of formations did you see in that cave that you don't see a lot of here? So those are what we call dripstones. If a flowstone is created with water flow, what do you think a dripstone is created with? Water drips, right? So stalactites and stalagmites, dripstones, the way a stalagmite is formed, and they might touch the ceiling someday, so they grow from the floor. The way it's formed is a driplet of calcite-rich water will fall from the ceiling, hit the floor, deposit that calcite. That calcite will build up with more drops of water until it creates a column, and that is a stalagmite. Now that we don't get any of those here, because those water droplets are going to fall from the ceiling, hit the water, dilute those minerals, and they're going to float somewhere else, right? So you don't get any stalagmites. Stalactites, on the other hand, they kind of grow like icicles. So if you look up and you look around closely, you'll see some of our little friends up there. And they're very small. And the reason our stalactites are so small is because, much like the flowstone, they only grow about an inch every 100 years. What else did we learn happens every 100 years? A big flood comes and hits the ceiling, right? Those heavy currents are going to hit the ceiling there, whittle away at our stalactites, give them little haircuts, keep them nice and short. So that's why they're so little. We do have one that is relatively big for our cave. It's right behind me. Anybody see it? Yeah, that's what we call the praying hands stalactite. It's about 2 feet long, whereas the others are about 3 to 6 inches. The reason this one's so much bigger is because there's a crack in the ceiling there that at one point got more water and more calcite flowing through it. And so that stalactite was growing a little bit faster. It has since kind of slowed its growth because the calcite has actually filled in the crack. That's one of the really cool properties of limestone. As we float under it, I'll shine my light back up there. You can see how the calcite has kind of filled the crack in, kind of like a scar. Pretty cool. Now, anybody feel a nice cold drop of water on their head? Yeah, that's what we call a cave kiss. They're worth about 2 weeks of good luck each, so collect as many as possible. And those are those droplets of water coming from our stalactites. Now, if you feel a warm drop of water, that's what we call a bat kiss. It's a different kind of luck. Still good luck. You should probably buy a lottery ticket. We don't get a lot of bats because they don't like our cave very much because of how wet it is. They know if they come in here and fall asleep and the flood comes, they're going to get trapped. So they don't want to take that risk. You all are pretty lucky. You're pretty lucky because we actually do have a bat in our cave today. Pretty rare. You don't see them very often. But if you look right over here.
Oh yeah,
A little nugget looking thing hanging off the wall, that is a bat. That's what we call a tricolor bat. My guess is that it's hibernating right now. We had another one out in the mouth of the cave, but he got scared away by the restoration crew that was working on our nightclub last week. But yeah, he's just sleeping for the winter. Some other animals we have cave crickets, beetles, spiders, salamanders. In the water here we have crawfish, or as we call them down here, crawdads. There's two types. There's the ones you would see in your creeks and rivers at home, little round crab-looking things. But as we go further into the cave, you'll start to see more white ones. They're completely white, they don't have eyes, and those are what we call cave-adapted crawfish. Why do you need color and eyes when you live in a cave, right? Now also in the water we have a species of cave fish called the southern eyeless cave fish. It lives far back in the far parts of the cave. Kind of the same thing. It's a ghosty white color, it doesn't have eyes. One of the really cool things about it though is that it has taste buds on the outside of its body, so it gets to taste around what's going on. We do occasionally get other fish like bluegill and trout and bass that'll get washed in here from a flooding event. And then they'll hang out here for the rest of their lives. And is Nashville Road you would have driven in on today. So in 2008, they expanded that road from a 3-lane to a 5-lane highway, and when they did that, it actually blocked off some of the natural pipes that would have sent water down into our flowstone here. Now we're completely safe, even though a road is right above us. They do a lot of studies and stuff anytime they build anything in this city, because there's a lot of sinkholes and caves everywhere. So we're pretty good, but it is really sad that they cut off the water to our flowstone. Our flowstone is now dormant. It doesn't get any water unless there's huge flooding events. Just kind of shows the impact of urban development, humanization on places such as this, but we would have had a nice full waterfall had it not been for that. But we try to find the silver lining in everything, so if you put on your creative caps, I'll show you what we call cave art. It's like looking at a cloud in the same shapes. So you can look right here, this is our cave mummy. There's its head, its body, its legs. Right here we got the cave hot air balloons. Down here we call this sheep on retreat, looks like sheep butts. Follow my light, I'll show you the cave T-Rex. And then my personal favorite is right here. This is what we call the cave bonsai tree. This right here, I call it the Inception Cave, the cave inside a cave. It's just another path that the water has carved. So if you were to crawl through it, you would come out on the other side of the flowstone that we saw on the animals, stuff like that. After them would be the arcade peoples. Those were the first people to kind of settle into villages and tribes here in this area. They were the first to cultivate the land. They would make tools out of stones and animal bones. So we have actually found some of those tools out in our valley and in our cave here. And then after them, what the tribes we're more familiar with today, Shawnee and Cherokee were the most prominent around here. And we have found pottery, jewelry, arrows, and all that good stuff like that. A lot of people ask if there are any metropolits, unfortunately. Not that we know of. If there ever was, they're probably been described by the floods. So no petroglyphs in our cave. Now, if you look right over there, that formation that looks like a handrail. Fun fact, that's not a formation, that's actually a handrail. So it was put there in the later parts of the cave tours that went on in the 1920s and the 1960s. Back then, the water would have been as high because the land out there, you could have walked in here on the banks, walked around the wishing rock, and up some steps on the other side of the flowstone there into the upper passageway, we call it. You would get up there and you would see a jail cell with a wax figure of Jesse James in it. They would have some guns thrown on the ground and some money. They would tell everybody that that was Jesse James' gun that he forgot here and some of his money that he dropped. They would tell everybody that this was the hideout of Jesse James after he robbed the bank in Russellville, Kentucky. Now, before I go any further with this story, I have to tell you that there is no proof that Jesse James was ever in our cave. It's all just speculation. But the Perkins brothers, who gave the tours, they would tell everybody that he was here. He robbed the bank in Russellville, Kentucky, which is true, he did, in 1868. Made his way here to Bowling Green, got sick, and needed a doctor. So if you're a bandit and you're wanted by the law and you need a doctor, how are you going to go see a doctor? You're going to kidnap one. So they kidnapped the doctor, they brought him down here, kept him down here for a few days. Jesse started feeling better, and they took a liking to the doctor. They decided they're going to let him go. But they make him promise on his life that he's not going to tell anybody where he's been. So he promises, he leaves, goes home to the one person he's more afraid of than Jesse James, his wife. was really curious about where he'd been the last 3 days, so he tells her. She writes a letter to the sheriff. The sheriff gets really excited, makes his way down here to Lost River Cave. He's going to be the sheriff to catch the infamous Jesse James, right? So he gets down here, he starts thinking, you know, if I go in this cave, it's going to be dark, we're going to have a shootout with a bandit. Probably not the best idea, right? So he decides he's going to wait outside the cave for Jesse to come out. So he yells in, tells Jesse that he has 2 options. He can either come out and surrender, or he can stay in here and starve to death. So the sheriff and all his deputies, they wait outside the cave. They're waiting there for a few days until finally they get a telegram from down east of here letting them know that Jesse James had just robbed their bank. So, according to the Perkins brothers, Jesse, he was in here at the time, and he decided that he was going to splunk through the cave and find another exit. Now, there is no other exit to this cave according to them, but Jesse was able to find one. He's been the only one to find it ever since. And according to them, it was with a little bit of luck and magic that he was able to do that. He got that luck and magic from drinking out of this spring of water right here. Now, on those cave tours back then, they were 10 cents a person. For 5 extra cents, you could get a sip of that water. They would tell you that it was good luck. You might even be able to get away with murder, just like Jesse James did. Now, little did they know that at that same time, the cattle farm right above their heads was creating the pollution scars down there on our flowstone. So if you think about it, you know what they were paying 5 extra cents for. But Jesse James was a pretty big deal here in these parts. A little fun fact for you, the town east of here that he robbed, that's actually my hometown, Columbia, Kentucky. There's a festival day every year where they celebrate Jesse James robbing their bank. That's how big a deal it is. All right, does anybody have any questions? Oh yeah, there's 2. Yeah. Now there's no exits that we can get to. I don't even know where one other one is. They're all pretty well protected and kept secret. All right, any questions before we head out of here? All right, if not, if everybody doesn't care to face forward for me, go ahead and start getting low. All right. Thank you all so much for being on our tour today. I had a great time. Hope you did too.
Yeah.
If you had a good time, we do encourage you to leave Google reviews. My name is Cole. If you had a bad time, you can stand up now and let me know. I'm just messing with you. Now as we go underneath this rock right here, if you're itching to touch a rock in a cave, this is the one rock we allow you to touch, so go ahead and give it a feel. Make a wish while you're at it, why not? Now as we approach the rock, please stay seated until I am up there holding the rope. If you stand up, you might fly forward, a little bump a little bit to the top there. All right, thank you all so much. If you don't have any questions, either take any photo or anything like that, please let me know. When you get off the boat, feel free to go check out the Cavern nightclub. I'll be over there to answer any questions you may have about it. And with that, if you all want to slowly stand up, start making your way off the boat. Thank you all.
There you have it, guys. My first cave ever. Okay, we went inside the cave. It was pretty nice. The boat was pretty nice. I was a little worried here at first, as I told you, because I can't swim. And lucky for me, it was only about 3 feet deep, so it wasn't so bad. But this was nice. This is a real cave, y'all. Look at this. This is a real cave, all right? And the tour guide gave us all the information we need. He did a great job of explaining everything and how it all started about. I love the blue hole over there, which was only about 17 feet, like he said. Initially, we thought it was 400 feet, but it's only about 17 feet. But yeah, it's a real cave, man. Look, Never been in a cave before, but this is a real one right here. All right. So I hope you had it. I hope you had fun as much as I did. I hope you enjoyed all the information that the guy shared, and I'm happy you shared this event with me. Okay. And again, this is Kentucky. All right. And this is what we're doing in Kentucky. Bowling Green. Thank you for checking this out. If you watch this whole video, I thank you. You're awesome. It's a good day. Be happy. All right. I'll check you in the next one. Oh, right here?
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you
Looking this way?
lighting, you're going to get all the little white highlights.
Got it.
There's a pink stick between the first.
Okay. Thank you. All right, so we're done with the boat tour, man. I hope you liked it. So I'm just gonna go around quickly, kind of show you guys what this place looks like, because if you do decide to do it, then you can get a sense of, you know what to expect. And there's a gift shop right here, and here's the hours. And these are all stones, I guess, from the cave. So this was it, y'all. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for hanging with me. I will see you on the next one. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Like it, share it. You know the whole thing. I'll check you next time.